King Bubbles lived in a palace on top of a mountain. And do you know what he loved most? Blowing bubbles. He had a special bubble blowing pipe for this purpose that made bubbles that never broke. At first, he only blew bubbles inside the palace, but it soon became overcrowded. So he opened the windows and doors and blew the bubbles out. They landed on the trees and among the flowers, and soon the garden was also overcrowded. But King Bubbles kept blowing and blowing. He blew the bubbles down the mountain into the valley, and they reached the city at the foot of the mountain. At first, his subjects thought the bubbles were beautiful, but soon there were far too many and everyone lived in a big haze. There really had to be a solution because this could not continue. No one could see anything anymore. Everyone bumped into each other and people could no longer hear each other properly. And worst of all, some people only lived in their own bubble and had no contact with other people at all. A meeting was called, and after long deliberation, it was decided that it would be better if the king would blow the bubbles upwards rather than downwards. A few subjects went to the palace to consult with the king. King Bubbles had just made a giant bubble and planned to blow it down. But when he heard the request, he thought deeply and finally turned his bubble pipe upwards and blew his giant bubble towards the clouds. This was a beautiful sight, and the king became so excited that he wanted nothing more than to blow his bubbles into the sky. His subjects were happy again. They could see each other again. They no longer bumped into each other. They heard each other and they lived together again, instead of alone in their own bubble. And if you look closely, on some days, in the sky, you can see the beautiful colors of the bubbles that King Bubbles blows up.